Hi guys, I'm gonna do an instructional video on meditation. The reason I decided to do this is because watching developments across the world, I realized that there's a lot of meditation and people are focusing on meditation for pure relaxation purposes, but meditation for me has always been about becoming more conscious and more self-aware and exploring my intrinsic self. Because on the process of this, of course, I always become very relaxed, but it's for me the destination is not relaxation. So for those who want to learn more about consciousness, I'm gonna give a pretext and a little conversation prehand before I describe the meditation, which is the concept of ideal. For example, there's a lot of people are taking on to groups right now that are manifesting themselves in very violent ways. So a group, I mean a collective of people that talks a certain way, looks a certain way, holds a certain ideology, and the followers or converts of this groups usually sacrifice themselves, their own personal views, their looks, how they feel to be part of this group. So in the case that you're joining something or part of something that in order to sustain membership, you have to give up a part of yourself, you're filling that part with something else inside of you. There's a piece that says, how do you look like? How do you talk like? How do you feel like? How do you act? And this space is filled with group psychology. So drawing consciousness to these betweens, I want to maybe manifest a little more peaceful world by showing people that they should not so easily take on to ideologies that are not theirs. So the first example I'll give is the time that somebody picks a religion for themselves. There's a lot of people that are from very young age converted onto a religion or baptized, which is kind of unconscious, and they never again think about why they're part of that religion. But for everybody who's thought of why they're part of a certain group, society, or mainstream religion, or even things like ideologies like capitalism, democracy, or any of these other things, it counts as pretty much a religion if that is your ultimate highest source of belief. So standing at a point where you go, okay, Christianity, the reason why I'm going to pick it, or Buddhism, the reason why I'm going to pick it. Taking all these rainbow of possibilities that somebody could pick as their higher self and guide towards the higher self and set of conducts or whatever it might be. There's a link between them. And this, I think, is called the ideal. It's a very specific vibration that allows you to feel what's correct for you. Sometimes it's not very comfortable to hold this vibration. That's why people very quickly, like in a second, could say, yes, I am a Christian, and they won't give it a second thought. It's for a lot of people, it's very uncomfortable to hold this feeling. But in meditation, it's very important to learn how to hold this feeling, because this is your inner guide. It shows you where you should go, what is good for you, and in any way, if that's the mechanism that you chose, that's inherent in everybody, that guides you first in the first place, guided you to that religion. So to take that feeling and hold it a little bit longer than the second that you had before. Maybe not about the subject of religion, or just how you're going to dress today, what you're going to study, how you're going to talk, like what book you're going to read. Just all the decisions that we make in our day has this connection, the connection of ideal. And through meditation, you could be more comfortable with holding on to this feeling for a tad bit longer than you usually do, which in the long run creates results that you would more deem as yours and better for you. So how I would recommend starting meditation is find a place that you feel comfortable. If you could fall asleep in this place, you could meditate there. It needs to be somewhere where you're not going to be bothered. You need to wear comfortable clothes. And in general, after some time, you can meditate anywhere. And I'll recommend changing the place you meditate because every place has a different energy. And this is something that's personal experience. Everybody has their own views about it, but first of all, I would say start with somewhere where you could fall asleep, usually your bedroom where you're not going to be bothered. So in comfortable clothes, you would sit upright because sitting upright helps with energy flows. If you don't believe me, you can try yourself, hunch over and meditate, and sit upright and meditate. Another thing is to have your feet close to your body if you can cross them. So when you sit in this position, the next thing would be is to make sure your nose is clear, because I recommend breathing strictly through your nose. So to prevent yourself from breathing with your mouth, I recommend put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. This is when you fall deeper into meditation, you don't accidentally start breathing with your mouth. So when you start, initially, you close your eyes, you're sitting upright, and your tongue is on the roof of your mouth, and you're breathing with your nose. Initially, take a couple of breaths to just ease muscular tension and feel where you are. And just in general, just let go of tension, because you're going to be going into a calm, tranquil, observative state. So after the first couple of breaths that you will be taking in, out, to just calm yourself and for relaxation, step back from yourself and observe yourself naturally breathing. Let your body breathe how it would naturally breathe, and observe yourself breathing. So after some time, you'll realize that you kind of are drifting behind yourself, and this is exactly the point. If you could gather your energies somewhere here, because when your eyes are closed, you're naturally going to start seeing little figures and stuff, and I recommend not to follow it with your eyes. Just pick a point and keep looking at that point, because the point is to not let your mind wander. If you have inner chatter, stop inner chatter. If a thought comes to mind, try not to have an emotional response to it. Accept it and come back to your breath. Focus on how you're breathing and observe yourself breathing. Because the eyes themselves, if you look at the imagery, you'll start thinking things, and it really helps to just focus on a point. I recommend completely the center and just keep looking at this. During this process, what I just talked about, the ideal, if you could bring back feelings of how it feels like to make a decision, and when you know intuitively that this decision is correct, if you could start vibrating in this frequency, you will, I think, reach very good results. I've done this for a couple of years myself, and it's very simple. You could get more complicated and go into mantras, meditate on chakras, but for the beginner, I don't recommend you do this, because these are things that you need to have an intuitive feeling of knowing that this is correct, I'm on the right path, this is what's good for me. If you can't recognize that, then you should not be meditating on it. So to develop that, you need to feel and be able to hold on to that ideal vibration, that this is perfect for you. So that's all, guys. I hope you happy meditating, good luck, and I just recommend do this on a schedule.